Hello everyone, you will now hear a brief retelling of the movie Ganz. Have a comfortable seat, grab yourself some goodies, and here we go! A guy named Kei, waiting for a train in the subway, sees his acquaintance Kato. A man falls on the way and no one from the crowd is eager to help him. Only Kato tries to lift the body. But he alone lacks the strength to do so, and when he notices Kei, appeals to him for help. But the guy freezes, so the daredevil saves the man by himself. Kei nevertheless decides to help Kato himself, when the train nearly arrives at the station. But they both fall on the tracks and die under its wheels, but in the next moment the guys wake up in a room with some people and a huge black orb. It turns out that each of the strangers died that day. Suddenly in the middle of the room the ball created a naked wet girl. Kei and K2 appeared there in exactly the same way. Music began to be heard from the ball. And then an inscription appeared which notifies the people that their lives belong to the black sphere and it will now control them. And also the group must kill some evil alien. The ball opened up. Inside it there is a body on life support system. There were also found name cases, and inside them unusual suits and even more strange weapons. The girl, for lack of other clothes, immediately put on a suit. Just as they appeared, one by one strangers began to dissolve in space. On the sphere included a countdown timer. The group formed back up on the street. One guy, already dressed in a suit, began to say that all this was a reality show and the winner would receive $100,000. All he needed to do was to shoot the creature, who had hidden behind the corner. Part of the group rushed with excitement to catch up with their goal. A strange-looking guy offered them a bow. After splashing them with snot and jumping off the high ground, the chase continues. Eventually the snotty freak was pinned against the wall. One of the Yakuza men took a shot and a few seconds later the stranger was torn off his arm, the other limb with blades. He hurt the aggressors and was eventually blown to pieces. But here's the trouble: his sly father came after the kid with a whole bag of onions and in one move cut off the Yakuza leg. Others tried to shoot him, but ended up hitting the man and blowing him up. The rest of the alien crushed their heads with his foot. He was about to deal with K2 too, but a girl in a super suit ran into him and threw him into the wall. The monster fights back and then it turns out that in the suit the man feels no pain. But the suit is not on Kei and he was to become the next victim. He gets rescued by a liar and catches the monsters in the net. He lets Kei get shot, but he couldn't do it, and then he gets killed by an experienced fighter. Seconds after the shot the slime man bursts. A minute before time runs out the surviving guys are back in the room. Including another man who was seriously wounded. Everyone always returns to the room fully healthy. Everyone gets points after the mission. Everyone is left with zeros except Nishi, who with those 5 already has 79 points. He tells us that the sphere is called Ganz, and that a lot of people have died on missions. The guys are fighting to figure things out, and suddenly Kei finds himself in his room. He goes to the same subway station again. Only the colony is plastered with a message about finding witnesses to the tragedy that happened to him yesterday. He finally gets to the interview, but fails it.
には必ず役目があるということです。はい。やりたいこと。
The guy does not let go of thoughts of a scary dream. In the evening, Kei finds the place where they fought the evil monsters. Traces of the beating remain. So it was in reality. Here also came Kishimoto, the girl from the room, and she asks to sleep over at Kei's place tonight. Kishimoto admits that she left her life in the bathroom after breaking up with her boyfriend. The girl kept Kato's jacket. Inside there was a notebook from which the guys learned that the guy was convicted as well as his residential address. Kei really likes Kishimoto, but here she wants to meet Kato soon, so he will definitely not need the condom he hid earlier. We are transported to the cabin of Kato, who lives with his younger brother. Now tormented by nightmares, he has begun to disappear before his eyes again. Another moment, and he and Kei are standing in the middle of the mysterious room again, with Kishimoto and Nishi and the newcomers stationed nearby. Ganz gives them a new task. to kill the cheerful alien Tanako. Nishi admits that he came back here many times and each time he was the only survivor. The other poor fellows were just bait and cannon fodder. The whole group is transferred to a parking lot. The kid runs and crashes into Tanako, knocking his boombox out of his hands. The alien does not forgive him and sends him and Granny to the heaven. Next, he attacks Kei with a light charge and takes off like a rocket, attacking Nishi. The robot beats the crap out of him and breaks his suit. Kato tries to save him but it's too late. The dying guy asks one of them to score 100 points and revive him. The robot wakes up and turns on his hammers again. Apparently Kishimoto likes it. Instead of hitting the girl, he stares at her breasts. Kei suffers many blows, but the magic suit allows him to withstand them as well as deliver devastating blows back. He was trapped in the car, and as she was preparing to fire a volley, managed to shoot first. Together they explode inside the car. All the contestants moved back except Kei. His leg and arm were torn off. But once the timer showed zeros, the guy also came back in one piece and even got 7 points for destroying the alien. He had 93 more to accumulate. Before he had 100, now we need to find out what that 100 gives. Ganz tells them this information. The player can resurrect himself or revive any of the dead. This time at home, Kei came himself in a special suit and he can use its capabilities in real life, such as jumping long distances. He is distracted from his trials by a classmate who has a soft spot for him. She brags about the superhero manga she drew herself. And here comes to Kato Kishimoto and confesses to him that she now wants to live because she met him. The guy also has his own tragic story. He was in juvie because protecting his younger brother. He's in jail because he killed his alcoholic father, and now he'll do his best to survive and not leave his brother alone. A promise he makes personally to his little brother. On the TV news they talk about the unexplained devastation that has been happening in the city in recent days. Third time the three return to the room already ready for anything. Today they will face a particularly dangerous third-level alien with the other contestants. Kato tries to explain the rules of the game to the newcomers. But Kei believes he's a hero from a comic book, and is confident he can cope by himself. In the city the team sort of finds their target in the form of a huge statue, which the newcomer takes down with the first shot. But the second giant standing next to himself, they surround the giant. But Kei runs around him and does not let the others shoot. The price of a rookie's life, he splits the creation of a limb, and then the whole monster as a whole. His behavior now resembles the dead cunning niche. For some reason the team did not return to the room. And when the allotted time came to the end, the timer started again. The priest girl hiding in the museum, the last got out of there, died of wounds. It means there is another alien inside. It turns out to be a multi-armed Buddha, who immediately tortures Kei with his swords. The guy bleeds to death and is likely out until the end of the battle. The statue promises revenge on Kato for all the friends they killed earlier. Kishimoto shoots the alien from behind, but the creature dodges and breaks its gun. All fighters are wounded. Only now Kato notices that he too has a special sword on his belt. But even with it, it is hard to resist Buddha wielding dozens of swords at once. Kishimoto has no chance against him either, and the monster simultaneously stabs her through with a bunch of blades. The girl tries to kiss Kato, but not doing so, she dies in his arms. The mad fight continues, and in just a few seconds Kato is impaled on all blades at once. Kei activates the suit, which allows him to stand on his feet and even strengthens him. He realizes there's nothing to do here with a cold weapon, so he runs for a gun. After shooting, the alien remains swordless but drops the Buddha from the baby's hand, who grows to gigantic size before our eyes. He has become twice as tall as the museum building. Out of his last strength, Kato throws the gun to Kei. He 3 shots spreads the Mega Buddha arm. The guy set up for the final blow, but was just swallowed by the Buddha. Only with the Japanese, the Titan swallowed his trunk. So he soon lost his head and everything else. Kato almost dies and Kei does not know. Will his friend wake up in the room this time? There are 3 survivors in the room. It's time to count the points. But Kei is not interested in the 13 points scored. He asks to see the dead. Ganz shows the pictures of Kishimoto and Kato and also reminds the guy that he can bring the person back if he scores 100 points, and Kei gets desperate, as he realizes that it is almost impossible. In the subway, he drops his cap on the railroad tracks, and Kai hesitates, giving it back to the owner of the cap, but does not get up. He is probably so eager to end it, but at the last moment Kei grabs the outstretched hand of mangaka, who is in love with him. She asks the young man not to kill himself, and he realizes that he has someone to live for. Kei takes over the care of his younger brother Kato.
兄ちゃん
In the room with his new acquaintances, he is ready to start destroying aliens again in order to accumulate the necessary amount of points.